Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here to give you a quick review of a unique kind of product, at least in my experience, and that is a mini laptop. And this is a product that's coming to an Indiegogo campaign starting today, and it is for this little 7-inch laptop slash tablet slash hybrid device that is able to do quite a lot of things. And as you can see, it folds down really compact. I'll give you just an idea of the specifications of what is here. Obviously, this is an alternative to using a tablet in that one does have a keyboard, which we'll double back to in just a moment. It also operates with either, you can use it with Windows 10 either in S mode, or you can run it in full desktop type mode as well. Now you can get these spec'd out at two different levels. They have a light version and then what they call a light and then a full version. The light version has 64 gig of storage and 4 gig of RAM. One spec'd like this. The full version has 128 gig of storage and then 8 gig of RAM. Of course, unlike, at least an Apple tablet, you do have, the option of either putting in a micro SD card here on the side. You also have the option of, with a USB port, both a USB 3 and a USB-C, you have the ability to add, of course, more storage via alternatives there, memory stick, external hard drive, etc. And so definitely more flexibility for looking at it from a photography perspective for storage than working with your typical tablet, at least again within the Apple universe, which is where I'm more experienced. What we've got here in terms of the displays, we've got a 7-inch IPS touchscreen with a resolution of 1920 by 1200, and so very pixel dense for such a small screen. And the main chipset here is an Intel Cherry 8350. The battery is a 4500 mAh battery pack, and so it seems to have a, obviously the battery life will depend on what you're doing. It seems to be, in my experience, to be somewhere around 7 hours, 8 hours of usage there. And so it does have a built-in camera for doing Skype, and it is a 0.3 megapixel camera, so it's not going to exactly blow you out, but enough for doing video chat and whatever. It does have a sensor, and so it will rotate your screen from different positions. It will also recognize when you've gone to tablet type mode, when you want to go to desktop mode, and and it will also detect when you want to rotate the screen. And so you do have options for a stand. The actual hinges here seem to be very well made, and so it does give you a lot of flexibility on how you want to display it. Now, this device, in terms of the dimensions, the Peakago, is 181 by 113.6 by 19.6 millimeters thick. And it weighs in at 539 grams. And so it's light, but it's not incredibly lightweight. Now, looking here at the side in terms of the ports, you've got micro SD there. But what's also interesting about the micro SD is that this is a 4G compatible, and so you can also put in a SIM card into there, and so that you can actually have mobile data through 4G. You do have a cheaper option without 4G if you want to not have that, but it's about $60 difference between the two, and so having that capability is certainly desirable. What you do have also is a 3.5 millimeter jack. You have a micro HDMI out, which I'll come back to in just a second. And then, as noted, you've got a USB 3.0 and then also a USB Type-C. So you actually have a fair amount of flexibility when it comes to connectivity there. Now, as far as looking at it from a photography perspective, one indictment that I do have here is that while obviously it makes sense to have the micro SD when it comes to putting in like a SIM card, if you really wanted to have a flexible photography device, obviously having a full-size SD port would be really significantly important. And that's kind of the main area I can see it having advantages over a tablet. Obviously if you're going to use this to back up some images or to view images or even to do some edits on the fly, although a 7-inch screen is, hard to do dedicated edits on. But, you're going to have to tether the camera either, by one of the USB ports to access that. Now, as far as the actual usability of it, I have used it with a variety of things. And so the touchscreen is, about laptop type responsive. I do find if you're trying to do something really, really precise, because some things are quite small on the screen, using a stylus is helpful for that. But, as far as running apps like Microsoft Office, which is a good application here for this. And one of the things that when it comes to like Office, for example, that I feel like is a good use application of this is, for example, if you're running PowerPoint type presentations, if you were to pair, well, let's just say even if you're pairing it with a regular size projector, I've connected both wirelessly to a projector and then using the, the micro HDMI port. But if you're connecting in that way, it's a very small, convenient thing to bring along for running your display from. And it's got enough processing power there to run displays just fine and to be fairly responsive for that. Another area where I would find this particularly useful, again, as a photographer, is if you connected something like this to a mini projector, which now there's a lot of those on the market. You could have a small package for bringing along. So some applications from that. Obviously, it's going to be also, useful if you're, traveling on the fly. Let's say that in an airplane, it's a screen that you can view content from, you can run Netflix and things like that just fine from it. The other advantage here is the fact that it's charged by a USB Type-C. It's easy to charge it from a power bank, for example. And so, good for that. You have a lot of flexibility on how you're going to position the screen and so how you're going to view the content. And so, good things when it comes to those areas there. Now, when it comes to typing, where this device kind of falls apart for me is that, of course, while it's great to have a full keyboard, if you have North American male size hands, it's big hands to fit on a small keyboard. And frankly, I don't know that it's really advantageous, hardly over a tablet for typing. After a while, I made some adjustments, and like anything, you do adapt to it. But I do find that it's not quite enough room for me to actually assume a good normal typing position, and so I tend to skip a finger here and there, and so obviously that slows down the typing process. So I feel like this is a device that's better suited for those that have small hands and might benefit from that. The other thing here is that, of course, the touchscreen functionality is very welcome because your other alternative, of course, you could always attach some kind of Bluetooth or wired type mouse, but your other alternative is to use the nub here to navigate around. And while it works okay, on either side you would have your right and your left clicking, kind of mouse ports here. And so while it's okay in terms of navigating around, it's not like, it's kind of like a trackpad kind of thing, and it's just not nearly as fast or precise if you're accustomed to using a mouse. And so it's actually much more intuitive to use touchscreen wherever possible on it. And so, the actual device seems to be nicely made. It functions fine. I've installed, some real programs on it, and it seems to run them okay. However, in this case, the small form factor certainly has, I think, more limitations than, in my experience, for my purposes, positives than what it brings. Now, of course, your mileage may vary, and if your hands are smaller, this may be a great alternative to using a tablet because it gives you a lot more of the conventionality of a Windows 10 type laptop for doing that. And of course, the other appealing thing is that the price is very reasonable on this, and you can jump in through their Indigogo campaign. And so you can get the light version, which has the 64 gig of storage, 4 gig of RAM for $269. What they call there's the no 4G version, which is $339, and that has the larger 128 gig of storage, 8 gig of RAM, so it's going to run a little bit more responsively. And then your top tier model is still under $400, $399, and that is for the 4G model that is going to give you the ability to use it on the fly and to run that 4G. So obviously, if you're comparing that to a lot of the, the tablets, that are 4G compatible, it actually is less expensive than them. So I do believe that there's applications for this, either for office work on the go, or even for backing up or storing images off of it. And there are some things still that it's hard to do on a tablet, and so obviously having access to full web browser and office type programs, there are going to be advantages for that. And so I certainly think that there is an application for this, but again, it might depend on the size of your hands. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you look in the description down below, I will give you a link there to that Indigogo campaign that just started this morning. So if you want to take a look at that, of course, this morning, if you're watching this the day that I release it. But beyond that, there's also linkage there to follow me on social media or to become a patron. And of course, if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.